Oh my stars and garters, let me tell you about the absolute travesty that is Edmonds Centre for the Arts, Edmonds. Gather round, my disillusioned darlings, for I shall weave a tale so wretched, so dripping with incompetence, it will make your soul wilt like a forgotten houseplant. I arrived on a day that should have been Magicala Nutcracker performance with my tiny, wide-eyed 5-year-old daughter, her little hands clutching mine with the kind of hope only children possess. But no, the universe had other plans. Edmonds Centre for the Arts, Edmonds, in their infinite wisdom, decided that every single human being, including infants barely out of the womb, must be fully vaccinated or produce a professional negative test, the kind you need to cross international borders, not attend a local theatre performance. Let us dissect this insanity, shall we? The rest of Washington mandates vaccines for those 12 and older. But no, Edmonds Centre for the Arts, Edmonds had to be extra. They had to outshine even the professional venues in Seattle, where crowds are denser than the fog rolling in off the sound. My daughter, who still believes in tooth fairies and the inherent goodness of the world, was turned away. She cried. Other children cried. Parents stood there bewildered, as if they had accidentally stumbled into a dystopian novel rather than a holiday ballet. But wait, there's more. Let us talk about communication, or rather, the complete absence of it. Multiple guests blessed their hearts, made hotel reservations, drove for miles, and even had the audacity to enjoy a nice dinner beforehand, only to arrive and discover their show had been cancelled. No email, no courtesy. Just a void where customer service should have been. Imagine the sheer betrayal of planning an evening, investing time and money, only to be met with the theatrical equivalent of a shrug. And oh, the seating, row A, was a cruel joke. If you enjoy having your knees pressed against the stage like an overeager stagehand, then by all means purchase those tickets. But if you, like any sane human, wish to actually see the ballet, the part where you watch the dancers' feet, the very foundation of ballet, then prepare to be disappointed. The speakers blocked the view, children had to sit on boosters and still saw nothing. And when we begged for a refund, the staff responded with the enthusiasm of a brick wall. "We do not do refunds," they said, as if they were reciting ancient law rather than basic decency. Do not even get me started on the acoustics. It sounded like the performers were speaking through a tin can buried in wet cement. The air conditioning, broken, the bathrooms, a nightmare straight out of a crowded concert venue, not a refined arts center. The ushers, so ineffective they may as well have been decorative plants. And the parking. If you enjoy circling the block like a vulture waiting for a miracle, then Edmonds Centre for the Arts, Edmonds, is the place for you. Two handicap spots for an entire venue. Because nothing says accessible like a Hunger Games-style battle for parking. This is not just incompetence. This is a crime against joy, against culture, against the very idea that art should bring people together rather than turn them away with bureaucratic nonsense and logistical nightmares. So tell me, dear listener, have you suffered similarly? Have you felt the sting of betrayal that is Edmonds Centre for the Arts, Edmonds? Share your tales of woe, for misery loves company, and we shall be the chorus of the wronged, the wounded, the ones who dared to expect basic decency and were...
Businesses near the Edmonds Centre for the Arts in Edmonds are, unfortunately, a mixed bag with some deeply troubling patterns. If you are expecting a relaxing, seamless experience, you might want to adjust your expectations. Or better yet, look elsewhere. Let us start with spas. Spas near the Edmonds Centre for the Arts should be places of tranquility, but instead, they are battlegrounds of noise, neglect, and outright incompetence. The Olympus Spa is a prime example. Guests report chaos, women ignoring whisper rules, hair floating in tubs like unwanted seaweed, and staff who seem allergic to apologies. Some visitors describe deep tissue massages that feel more like medieval torture, with therapists digging elbows into spines despite protests. One woman left with actual bruising, which is not the kind of souvenir anyone wants. And if you think the front desk will help, think again. They greet customers with the warmth of a tax auditor, treating simple questions like personal insults. For a place that charges hundreds for treatments, you would expect basic professionalism, but instead, you get a master class in indifference. Now let us talk about dining. Mexican restaurants near the Edmonds Centre for the Arts should be vibrant, flavorful, and welcoming. Agave Casana Cantina is none of those things. The food is a gamble, sometimes burnt, sometimes flavorless, sometimes just missing entirely. Servers deliver wrong orders with the confidence of someone who has already given up, and managers discuss their staff in shockingly unprofessional ways within earshot of customers. Then there is the billing. Hidden fees, overcharges, and what some guests suspect is outright fraud. One diner found an extra $5 mysteriously added to his bill, as if the restaurant just decided it deserved a bigger tip. For a place that markets itself as a festive cantina, the only fiesta happening is the one where your patience gets destroyed. As for apartments, the Uwajimia Village apartments are less of a home and more of a cautionary tale. Broken elevators, stolen bikes, and a fire alarm that seems to enjoy screaming at 3 a.m. like a banshee with insomnia. The management treats tenants like temporary inconveniences, ignoring complaints about construction noise, security breaches, and rent hikes that feel more like extortion. One resident described coming home to find maintenance staff inside their apartment without permission, because nothing says, "Welcome home," like a stranger rifling through your things. The parking garage is a joke, charging premium prices for the privilege of hoping your car does not get broken into. If you enjoy paying luxury prices for third-world conditions, this is the place for you. Even seemingly harmless spots like the Grape Choice, a wine bar, manage to disappoint. False advertising lures customers in with promises of happy hour deals that vanish like a mirage the moment you walk in. The staff shrug it off like it is no big deal, as if driving across town for nothing is just part of the fun. So, what should travelers take away from this? If you are visiting the Edmonds Center for the Arts, plan ahead. Eat before you arrive, because nearby restaurants are more likely to ruin your evening than enhance it. Skip the spas unless you enjoy paying to be ignored or injured. And unless you enjoy living in chaos, do not even think about staying in the nearby apartments. This area has potential, beautiful venues, cultural events, but the businesses surrounding it are dragging it down. Until things improve, visitors should tread carefully, wallets clutched tightly, expectations lowered to subterranean levels. Because in this part of Edmonds, disappointment is not just a possibility, it is practically guaranteed.
So I am looking into crimes near Edmonds Center for the Arts, you know, the cute brick building by the waterfront where tourists stroll in for concerts and then vanish after 2 weeks. The stores around here, they feel shiny and friendly, but their refund tricks bite. For example, the clothing shops close to Edmonds Center for the Arts are like return miracle machines. They brag mail it back, get your money today, so visitors think, oh nice, I can shop today, fly home tomorrow, zero worry. What really happened last summer was 5 local sisters, all living a short drive up the highway, ordered heaps of dresses online, printed the return label, scanned it at the post office window, and immediately received digital gift cards without dropping the real package into the slot. They then walked into the chain store in downtown Edmonds, beside the same cafe as tourists use before a show at Edmonds Center for the Arts, handed over the untouched clothes, and demanded a second refund onto their debit cards. Double money, zero cost. They kept the circle spinning, sending texts like you're cut while sipping iced lattes where you now sit. I predict the tourist who stood behind them in line felt the vibe, maybe even chatted, then flew back to Atlanta with a funny story. Sisters probably spent the cash on round-trip tickets to Vegas, laughing at how simple the system was. The retailer finally noticed the bleeding numbers, rewrote the policy, and now when you try the same quick return, the clerk at the counter near Edmonds Center for the Arts will say, sorry, we wait until the parcel is scanned in transit, no instant credit. The sisters got indicted, each looking at 20 years, but the refund window closed too late for the company, like closing the barn door after the horse is dancing on stage at Edmonds Center for the Arts. I just stare at the sidewalk signs promising easy returns and think, you know, if a deal sounds like magic, the trick is probably on you.